Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another model build. Today we're going to go back to one of my favourite brands, S Model, build and paint a bit of customizing of the Matilda II CS infantry tank fielded by the United Kingdom Second World War. We have the usual S Model perks of 2 kits per box, photo etch, decals. Very interesting decal scheme. The whole works. I shared this kit with another friend. The box gives you most information you need, including paints, so that can be bought straight at the hobby shop, and a fairly model size image in full color. The box art, as well as the instructions with every bit of everything you need to know, is very well demonstrated, and the kit itself is on a single runner, being two runners wrapped in plastic. This model was fairly straightforward, starting off with the chassis. Matildas are normally quite detailed, especially the exhaust and fuel drum bits and pieces in the rear, and the track works. Luckily with the track works, it virtually comes in one piece, and what makes it extremely interesting is it's actually fully detailed as per if the side armor is added. Having made a couple of Matildas before, as well as appreciating this side of detail and section of a tank that has not been previously shown before, even though the side armor is very thick and strong for combat purposes. Looking at reference materials such as abandoned tanks turned into tractors on farms and stuff, they were left off, and the scheme decided to be a rusted out, rebirthed Middle Eastern Iraqi tank. So that's the thought behind it. The turret came together very quickly, as well as the hatches, guns, smoke launchers and extra stowage, detail that is highly appreciated. All the other extra bits and pieces, and there is quite a few detailed bits and pieces that do need to be added on all over the place. Some were purposely chosen to be left out, such as surplus shovels and tools and detachable bits and pieces being removed or looted or whatever from something that's just launched, showroom condition, regulated by an army, to in the hands of something a little more loose. So that felt very appropriate, as well as the side armor also being removed, which, even though it's not a complete tank for this particular project and the story behind it, it is for me. And just the detail being a fairly recent release by S Model, very impressive. Do definitely enjoy it and find it as a worthwhile buy and build. Turret, if you choose, can be articulate as well as the gun. Using Gaia Note Evo oxidized red primer, I painted in all the little details underneath raised bits or overhanging bits, the bottom and around the turret. This followed after quick drying of 10 minutes, shading and colouring in the entire kit with primer. As this is a base rust primer coat, it was quite appropriate to use for the first level of weathering and salt chipping, which is the process of using hairspray and applying salt on top of the surface of the kit. I do have a video on this subject if you use the search function of my channel. Using a range of colours, after the primer has dried and the salt and hairspray applied, a lighter coat of rust was also applied on top of that, salted, hairsprayed, not in that order, and a couple of layers of green shaded on. The rust was more so concentrated in layers, so it was not necessarily done randomly as I've done before. A lot of the rust was focused around the wheels and the more bottom part, and attempted to shade a lot more green on top to show that the side a lot of paint's being removed around the working areas, and where there's not so much movement or people standing, sitting on more leftover paint from the original conflict. This worked out very well, and I was quite happy with this experimental effect. But as the separation of the rust and the green was very vibrant, very clear, over a few different coats, I applied a black sludge wash to catch all the detail, and much furtherly thinned down, Mr. Weathering washes were used, rusts and browns, just coating the whole kit and wiping back. Some of the layers will use more as a filter, some more as a wash or a transitional gradient effect. Came out quite nice, a bit glossy, but were toned down with acrylic matte Tamiya clear. The next level after the clear matte was the majority of the pigment, weathering and non-glossy coat work. Using MIG production pigments, I did an almost dot filtering method of applying different colors all over the place and smudging it out with a fixative. Other areas were heavy deposit of dirt in some crevices and just wettened with a fixative. Also used weathering pencil to highlight around areas, and as it was still sort of glossy, decals were applied. I was very lucky while at a wargaming shop they pulled out some very old Flame of Wars Islamic Iraqi style decals. They were very effective and pretty interesting. I also mentioned after the salt chip segment, using heavily thinned down black paint, I shaded black and dark areas under the wheel wells, underneath cans, some blast residue around the cannon, and just shaded some areas that would seem appropriate that shadows would have been cast, doing really fine, almost transparent lines around the place, and dirtied up the exhaust system as a further method of weathering. As I enjoy weathering a lot and I don't have a chance to do something that's almost unusable and just hectically dirty, rusted and almost unusable, thinking of something that served a long time ago and would still be in action in parts of the world, which is a fairly realistic scenario, though not something that's copied, was a decent amount of inspiration, as well as showcasing or having an excuse to show the exposed wheel wells and enjoying the vast detail that it provides, even though it's definitely not historically accurate. Nonetheless, it was a lot of fun. I had a bit of fun just visualizing what sort of story and background this tank would have gone through, from it being issued by the British, running around North Africa and just changing hands 18 times and even being dormant for a period of time. In the end, the tank definitely does tell a story on its own, if it's realistic or just a bit of fantasy. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, always recommend putting together a tank. Tanks are very good fun. Doesn't matter if you're that interested in them or not, they sort of definitely grow on you. S model is just really out there, especially if there's enough mates collecting that you could trade and whatnot with two in a kit. All in all, thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, catch you guys later. Or as always, stay tuned for more content, tank videos, tutorials, product reviews and whatnot. Catch you guys later.